Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Idle Heroes account. Today, we have a very exciting episode because we are going to be detailing my clear of 10-1-9, the 6 Valkyrie stage. The first of its kind, aside from, I think, one in the base version of the campaign. We have a lot of clips to go over so that I can showcase every possible or every common losing scenario that I encountered prior to achieving my win so that you can perhaps get some utility out of it for your own win in the future. Very exciting times. I've yet to see an actual recorded clear of this. People have typed out what their clear team was and their win conditions and their stats and stuff like this, but I've never seen an actual video of this stage being cleared in real time. So perhaps this is an exciting thing. If I am mistaken and that there's another video out there of somebody doing it, let me know. I know Lexi and Mihi did it on their account, although I'm not sure if it's still available to watch on the VOD on Lexi's Twitch. Quite quite an awesome account that they have. They did it with IEA actually as their main damage dealer. Incredible. I think they were the 5th account on iOS to clear the full Chapter 10 Void campaign, which is rather awesome. But regardless, let's talk about the team now. We have, in slot 6, I'm just going to detail this in speed order, Star Alchemist Holmes Young, who is basically a mainstay now on my account and probably all endgame accounts that are looking for optimal routing through the Void campaign. He is there for a few reasons. One, he is my time plume holder, and the reason I have him hold the time plume is one, he is a mage, so it is easy for him to, or easier relatively than other heroes, to land the doves because of the hero token treasure train that gives mages control precision and CI offset. So he is a logical choice for the plume. Another benefit of Star Alchemist Holmes Young is his perceptual disorder, which comes in clutch many times over, which is quite nice. Also, if he starts with 2 bottles of the blue potion, he gives attack to everybody, which is incredible, or everybody or either the highest attack ally, I don't remember. But it's a substantial attack buff, so that's quite cool as well. And then also his destiny is wacky, freaky strong. It activates upon allies getting active skills and will grant 24% attack to your highest attack ally, which in my case is SSM, my damage dealer. 24% for 2 rounds, and that's going to activate from every ally active on your team. So that's going to be 6 every round. Quite substantive in terms of the damage improvement there. Quite cool. You'll notice SSM able to get some kills round 2, which is nice. Quite nice as well, but let's detail the next heroes in line. We have Melissa in slot 5. She is going to also, she's not Nirvana. She is better at Polystar in terms of activating her destiny. Her trigger condition is just having 6 layers at Polystar and below. So all she needs is an active skill, and she can activate her entire destiny tree every round. Whereas at Nirvana, it's replaced with a 12-layer trigger condition. So she's just not buffing SSM with her first round active skill and subsequent destiny tree activation. So I keep her at Polystar. Very rarely would I recommend taking her above that. So she's a very good Nova holder, which is cool for PvP, in which case you might want to consider a Nirvana Melissa, but in this case, it's just not going to be optimal for me. Just results in more damage when she is Polystar. So that's okay. You'll see the perceptual disorders coming in rather clutch there to keep us alive for a little bit longer, but eventually not working. Moving along, we have DGN. She is there to spread across all the valuable debuffs and also to buff SSM, once more, making our damage dealer more potent and also making them more delicate, taking more damage with the damage reduction debuff that Melissa and Wukong can spread. And we'll talk about the speed order at the very end when we get to the final clearance clip. That will be nice to see. I have SQH going after DGN. One, she makes SSM's crits do more damage, which is always nice. She gives all damage dealt as a passive, which is also nice. And then she's after DGN, so DGN doesn't move around anything that SQH applies and only moves around the valuable stuff, such as the damage reduction that Melissa supplies. So that's always good. DGN is holding my Nova for a source of burn. She's a very, very lovely Nirvana hero to have. And SQH is holding my Bloom, which actually came in clutch for the winning attempt, which is rather cool. Lastly, we have the star of the show, Great Sage Sun Wukong. His goal is to stun all the Valks so that we do not take any basic attacks round one. This is rather important because of this reason in particular. You might say, well, wait a minute. Valkyrie is a hero that retaliates when getting CC'd. Why would you want to bring a CC hero to CC all of them? A very good question. The reason is this. Valkyrie will target the same amount of heroes with her passive burn or her basic attack. She will hit 3. And the reason that we do the CC route rather than just taking the shots is because the CC route only entails one layer of Unbending Will being stripped. They do, for our purposes, infinite damage. And so if you just do the burn, you don't take the actual hit component of the basic attack, you only take the passive burn. So that's one layer. Whereas if you get a basic attack, you get the regular hit, and then you get the burn. So that's 2 layers of Unbending Will, so it's just strictly better if you need to take damage to take it with the passive CC retaliation than via the basic attack. This comes with the caveat, though. Many clears that I am familiar with, or at least some of them, are performed with the maxed pupil, or at least the level 1 pupil Star Soul, the one that grants dodge at the start of every battle for the first round. Some people have chosen to use that, and they use the dodge as a way to take even less stripping of Unbending Will round 1. Because if you dodge the basic, you don't get the burn or the actual hit, and therefore it's just extremely helpful on Valkyries that are left unstunned. I think Wukong is still left in the team, but yeah, that would be a very, very effective way of pushing your survival back maybe a round or half a round or something like this. Quite important. Wukong is also not Nirvana, just because I can't really justify having him at Nirvana. Not super helpful for PvE. For PvP, he's rather strong. But yeah. You'll see here of a few attempts trying MFG in for LBRM, and the reason I thought that would be a good idea is his core. So the CC, because I'm not using TBB but rather Wukong, is not dependent on the core. TBB needs her core to get global CC, Wukong does not, and so I thought the MFG core, which gives 30% damage dealt to burned enemies and 30% damage dealt to poisoned enemies, I think it's converted to all damage dealt. So the actual effect is likely less than what it would seem on paper, depending on how much all damage dealt you already have. But regardless, I thought it would be good. I was wondering what would be better, the 30 plus 30% damage dealt to enemies from MFG or the damage reduction from Melissa. It did turn out that the Melissa buffs were more potent, albeit not by much, than the mutated fungus Geester buffs. So we did keep Melissa around. And the reason I wanted to swap Melissa in the first place is because, well, you need her faster than SSM if she's going to buff his damage round 1. However, she also removes control immunity from the enemies, which tossed so many times because while I want to boost my team's odds of landing control effects to get Wukong to land his stuns effectively, that also meant buffing SSM's chance to get a taunt, which is also a CC effect and also just bricked many runs, like you just see right here. We'll watch this one again. But you can see SSM is perfectly healthy. He lands 2 taunts on the slot 5 and 6 Valks, and then it's just over. He will cause them to burn SSM specifically, so it spares the team a burn if he RNG'd not being burned early on. However, it guarantees a burn on SSM, so it's very, very not good for him to taunt. But the damage looking quite promising this way. We will be reaching the actual clear, and then we'll watch that a few times in sequence so that I could detail all of the events that occurred to bring that result about. But so yeah, we're just watching all these clips where things went maybe okay and then failed. So quite nice here. 4 kills and round 3 begins. And then you'll notice I have no sources of good damage left. And that's going to leave my team out to dry, unfortunately. And Star Alchemist Holmes, you see preserving the team for quite a while afterwards. Like it's like 3 rounds that Sahi bought the squad there. So extremely valuable, especially if he remains alive for the long term. He can really, really preserve your team to eke out the last bit of survival that you might need to finish off a few remaining heroes. So that's quite nice. You'll see here again, 2 Valks remaining, but Wukong, he sadly stayed alive, did not RNG many burns on him, and thus he was able to stun again and throw the run. But it is what it is. This one's going to be in slow motion, I think. This is the longest, I believe, the longest load time I had prior to the actual victory, so I thought this one would be extremely, extremely promising, so I just watched it all in slow-mo so I could break it down. But so you'll see Wukong has no layers of Unbending Will left, but also has a burn on him, which means he is destined to perish at the end of the first round. That is the perfect RNG that you want to see for him. You see SSM taunted the 2 bottom Valks and thus perished soon after. And then we have Star Alchemist Holmes and Melissa doing their darndest to remain alive, but is not going to work out, unfortunately. So we'll watch through one more time. I think we're going to be approaching the actual clear soon. What I did do is, since I wanted to plan on Wukong dying, but also was very close to not having enough damage, what I ended up doing was just deciding my win condition was going to be this. I needed Star Alchemist Holmes to attack first to maximize the amount of attack debuffs or attack buffs that would land on SSM prior to his first attack. And then I needed Melissa and Wukong to attack before DGN to increase the odds of spreading a damage reduction. And this is the important part. We needed the burn situation on Wukong to be exactly this. Any more burns and he would die before he gets to attack. Any fewer and he would have a layer of Unbending Will to allow him into round 2 and therefore stun for a second time, and that would throw the run. So we needed just the right amount of burns to land on Wukong such that he would have all of his layers of Unbending Will stripped but still remain alive to attack in round 1 and then perish at the very end. So it's a very specific amount of burns that are required for that. And in fact, I'm not really sure how it worked out that way. I'm not understanding the game mechanics that are at play to make that happen. Because if we watch, you'll notice nobody else has a residual burn. It's just Wukong who has the residual burn. And I don't know what causes that. Or I guess LBRM has it as well. But I really am confused as to why that is occurring. Because in theory, everybody should have a residual burn, I think, unless I'm just misreading Valkyrie's skills. So maybe there's something that happens with multiple burn applications that causes not all of them to land at the same time or something like this. But he had a residual burn application that wasn't triggered when I reckon it should have been. Or he has a multi-round burn, which is also very weird. But regardless, maybe I'll investigate that further, or someone can provide some insight. But you see, he does have a burn there during round 1 that is going to kill him as the round transitions into round 2. So that is what you want for Wukong if you're going to try to duplicate or replicate this clear. Quite nice. All right. moving along. This may be the winning attempt here. I don't recall. So we get the, it's not the winning attempt. It's not, because Wukong didn't live. He died too early, SSM taunted, and thus the run is basically bricked from the outset. We don't even get a second active skill, or a third active skill, I guess. Moving right along. So now that I've detailed the win condition, you see Wukong is in the proper burn situation with one burn left on him, but still alive to attack in round one. SSM's going to attack. He lands 2 taunts. Not good. He kills himself, and that's the run. Moving along, Wukong died, so this one is also going to be bricked. He took too many burns, and therefore the run is over. He is not able to supply enough damage to SSM, or at least he doesn't supply much damage to SSM. SSM attacks again, and you see there he doesn't get 4 kills, as he might wish to if Wukong had attacked. So, you'll see here Wukong is in the proper burn situation one more time. Bam. Sahi, Melissa, Wukong, then DGN. SQH can attack. SSM gets his active skill. Bam, bam, 2 chases. Almost killing the top Valk with just 2 chases, so he could have enough damage to get round 1 kills, which is, it's rather enormous. I have like 20 million or 30 million more attack on him than I did with the last stage, 10-1-8, which is positively insane. So this turned out not to be the clear, but it's approaching. Worry not. Proper burn situation on Wukong there. You see the burn on his little stat bar. No layers of unbending will remaining. DGN attacks. Here comes SQH. Here comes SSM. Bam, bam, 2 chases. Huge damage there. And then Wukong dies. My whole line of supports get to attack again. SSM 2 chases again. Drops the back line. And he will survive for a 3rd active skill. And then we will watch the magic in the form of Perceptual Disorder from Star Alchemist Holmes and the Bloom Star Soul, scaling dodge, scaling all kinds of lovely stuff. And also, I believe on the Melissa, she got lucky and rolled the burn immunity, the fulfillment effect that grants you just immunity to burns. And so I'll go through now, and we're going to go to the team. Here's my spot on the leaderboard. 10-1-9, cleared, number 16 in iOS. Quite nice. 159 million attack on the SSM. Giant Killer Defier, Hunter's Focus, Armor Break, Holy Damage, Skill Damage, Stone, Lingering Melody of the Universe, Imprints and Enables, Destiny Skills. And that is the clear. We'll watch it one more time just because. Perceptual Disorder from Star Alchemist Holmes. You'll notice that Valkyrie in round 2 is going to purify the stun and therefore won't be able to attack still because the Perceptual Disorder from Star Alchemist Holmes protected us. Quite awesome. There you go. Amazing. Amazing. Bam, bam. 2 kills there. You'll notice we have the Purple Fire Chicken, the buffed Phoenix. I did pick up a few of the new monster mats. 2 Perceptual Disorder bottles going out and a dove, protecting us from taking damage here again. And then the fulfillment from the Bloom Star Soul coming in clutch. And also, by the way, the Root of Confusion taking effect to also improve our odds of surviving, replacing Valkyrie's basic attack with a non-deadly variation. Quite cool. And here is a month's, 2 days worth of attempts that I deemed possible for a clear. So there were quite a few attempts before I got the winning one. It took about 2 to 3 hours of trying with the winning setup before I got the clear, and then just 2 days of sporadic attempts and different setups and stuff like this. So yeah, quite a lot of attempts. And then here is something else. This is a rather egregious example of DH's stuff not working. So you'll notice, I don't know why the quality is so atrocious, by the way. This is embarrassing. Yeah, I don't know what happened here. But you'll notice Root of Confusion and Perceptual Disorder are just not working. Here, it's rather embarrassing. You'll notice that that Valkyrie had Perceptual Disorder and got to attack. That Valkyrie had Root of Confusion and got a basic attack. Not good, of course. And then that Valkyrie had Root of Confusion, visual effect again, and got a basic attack, and it's just bad news. The reason for this that I have explained to them many times, actually, over 2 email addresses, more than a year ago at this point, and then also a bug report, is this. Skill effects, this is referring to Perceptual Disorder, Root of Confusion from the new Star Soul, probably Chained Dreamland from Count of Nightmare Finn, and also Annabelle's Puppet. They have some discordance between the visual effect and the actual effect of the mechanic. So what can happen is sometimes 2 mechanics will be applied on the same hero. The effect will be conserved on the first effect that landed. So Star Alchemist Holmes lands a Perceptual Disorder. That's the effect that's on the hero. And then another effect lands. The visual effect of the most recent one will be present, but the effect of the first one will actually be happening. So Perceptual Disorder will be taking effect despite a new, fresh skill effect being inflicted and displaying visually, but not actually holding. And what this looks like, I have a video on this like a year ago, maybe, or maybe I don't know. But regardless, what this looks like, let's say Star Alchemist Holmes inflicts a 1-round Perceptual Disorder via his core. So a hero dies, inflicts Perceptual Disorder on a hero. And then Star Alchemist Holmes gets an active skill and inflicts the 2-round Perceptual Disorder from the bottle. What happens in this case is the round ends, and because the round 1, the 1-round core Perceptual Disorder was inflicted on the hero, the Perceptual Disorder wears off at the end of the first round. It prevents these 2-round one from taking over or being inflicted while the 1-round one is active. The weirdness comes in round 2, because the visual effect of the second Perceptual Disorder is still present. So it looks like the hero has Perceptual Disorder, but they in fact do not. They are able to attack normally because the effect is not there. It is only the visual that remains on display. So that's a bit of a concern there, especially concerning because they seem to have no inclination of actually doing it or replacing it or fixing it. And then you'll see there also in the final round, the Valkyrie was able to get a basic attack despite having the Root of Confusion. Again, this is because the Root of Confusion was inflicted during the active time, during the uptime of a Perceptual Disorder. The Perceptual Disorder wore off, but it prevented the Root of Confusion from actually taking effect. Despite this, the Root of Confusion visual effect is still present, making it look like Root of Confusion does sweet fuck all, which sucks, frankly. So just look at that Valk down there, getting the basic attack, killing my team. She should not have been able to do that. So that is going to be that. We're going to swing on in to the game, and we're going to take a look at stuff. I changed nothing about my setup. I did upgrade the monster a bit more. We have 159 million attack on the SSM. You'll notice it went up a little bit from when I showed the video clip right after the clear. Again, this is just a result of the monster. Giant Killer to fire, Hunter's Focus, Armor Break. Not happy with the Armor Break because Armor Break is extremely easy to cap, but regardless, we take it. We take it. I'm not going to complain. That's a good roll. Same setup, Holy Damage, Skill Damage, Lingering Melody, Unbending Will, and then going for 55% crit on the stat sheet because we need to activate Hunter's Focus, of course. So that is going to be that. I'll show off the Star Souls. Important. That is important, I suppose. So Ethereal Realm. Nova Sacred Flame is maxed. Not that had much bearing on the actual fight. As long as we're applying the burns, we get the Phoenix synergy. Pupil is just there to start farming the resources. As soon as they announced that upgrades would be coming to future ones, I wanted to get all of them farming, just in case the cat requires any one of these as the second flavor of Star Soul needed to upgrade. So I did end up folding and getting the Pupil just to farm the upgrade mats. Cat is maxed, of course. The Time Plume is going to remain at 3-star for a while. I don't really need the abilities here. The Revival would be somewhat helpful in PvP. Oh, very helpful in PvP and somewhat helpful in PvE. Not worth getting at this moment in time, I don't think. And then we have the Bloom, my beloved. Bloom, my beloved. Giving us the burn immunity. The 1 in 5 chance for that, by the way. It's not guaranteed. You'll see here, fulfillment can be offsets the next control effect, so we could have gotten a control effect immunity and that would have done nothing against that stage. Offsets the next received dot and is immune to this dot during the battle. Very helpful against Valks. There's crit damage immunity. There's an inability of enemies to block or dodge your attacks. And you get extra damage and attack reductions added to your attacks as well that you can get. Quite nice. I do fully intend to, get this one. I have the stuff all ready to go to upgrade this as soon as I get the passive trail materials so that the enemy team will begin supercharging me with vigor stacks and thus speed run the time until I get fulfillment. And then this one allows me to get 3 different flavors of fulfillment on the same hero. As of now, it's just capped at 1. Having 3 on there, like imagine getting 3 of these effects. Immune to a control effect, immune to a dot, and then immune to crit damage. You're just immortal at that point. Quite cool. Quite cool indeed. Not that there are many game modes where their match will go on long enough to make that happen, but extraordinarily cool. This is an item that I want, for sure. For sure. But yeah, I think that would be that. I do have the clear detailed on Discord if you wish to pop on by and take a look at the typed out version. My username on Discord is WI_LLL. Feel free to add me. If you're in any Idle Heroes Discords, any of the mainstream ones, you can probably just ping me and I will be summoned. So that works too. The treasure train, I don't want to forget to show that off. Bam, 21.4 million. And then Void Campaign, there you go. Feel free to pause if you wish. We'll show the house as well, because why not? Here we go. We've got 31 million coming from these 2 trans tenants here, 17.6 from HHA, 13.4 from SFX, because she is a crappy tenant as an assassin, but it is what it is. We have Mightiness, Attack Stone, Flag, and then this cracked out Awaken. Also, I suppose I was a bit unfair to SFX there, because I did pump HHA full of soul power to buff SSM in the house, so that helps a little bit as well. Also, look at this friggin' copy. That's awesome. Awesome. But yeah, that'll be it. Thank you very much for watching. I love and appreciate you all. I did clear difficulty 9 on here, and also check that out. I am one of 2 players on iOS to have this high score, tied with the Toad Monster. Quite pleased with that. My LFA put in some work, so that was quite nice. Will I do a video on that? I don't know. Maybe if I feel like it at some point. It would not be very actionable of a strategy because it was Snowheart spam. So 5 splendid deific Snowhearts reduced the attack enough that LFA could use Balance Strike and then kill much faster. So that is how I did that. But yeah, look at that. That is, whoops. That's hot. That's very hot. I am a fan. But anyway, have yourselves a good day. I love you all. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.